Welcome back, Festival Tales fam, to another episode of Festival Tales. Super excited to have you guys here. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Before we get started, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all the things. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, submit your festival stories. Now that festival season is very much underway, we want to hear your stories. So I know Ultra and Beyond Wonderland just happened. Buku just happened. We got Coachella coming up. We got a BW coming up. We got all these fun and amazing festivals coming up. And we would love to hear your crazy, fun, memorable stories from the festivals that you attend. So definitely get those stories in. They can be anonymous, as well as if you have a hard time typing everything out, do like the little talk to type feature on your phone, and that might help streamline things. So love to hear your stories. Definitely get those in. And last but not least, this episode is brought to you by stagehoppers.com. If you like other EDM and festival related content, definitely go check them out. Also on their social media, they post a lot of really dope live set clips and whatnot. So I think you can follow them on Instagram and TikTok. So definitely go check them out. Our podcast is hosted there as well. So without further ado, Babs, take it away with today's story.
All right. Let me get into it. Here we go. I'm not going to say her name, but she says, "Hi, Ade and Babs. I'm in Ade's coaching group. By the way, everyone, Ade has a coaching group. You should definitely check out if you ever want to." Back to the story. I love your podcast, and I have a really amazing story, and it's one of my favorite festival memories that I've been wanting to share. It was Beyond Wonderland 2021, and it was one of the best festivals I've been to. To start off, Alice in Wonderland and Griffin were headlining, and at the beginning of the weekend, my sister told me she wanted to meet up for those sets. Fast forward to day 2, and my friends and I are hopping around from set to set. My sister had VIP, so I didn't know if I was going to see her. We went to the main stage for Alice in Wonderland and stayed kind of toward the back middle. I went to find my sister, but I knew she was in VIP, so I just let it go. I don't know why, but something urged me to look at my phone, so I did. I saw a message from my sister saying she was in the front left of the crowd and she was holding up her LED hoop. I immediately saw her hoop and told my friends that we needed to go there. My friend led the way and we made it up to my sister and her friends. I tapped my sister's shoulder and she turned around and screamed, "Oh my God," and gave me a hug. We were at the front and it was my friend. We were at the front and it was my friends and her friends, and we were all just straight up vibing to Allison's set. A little before Griffin came on, my friend said, "Hey, let's go to the rail. It's right there." It was also her first rave. I was kind of nervous and didn't know what to do, but she grabbed my hand and we ended up at the rail for all of Griffin's set. I don't know how it happened, but we were in the right place at the right time and the vibes were just immaculate. I will never forget how we made it to the rail for Griffin and didn't even plan on it. A nice, sweet little story.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I like how you described where you were in the crowd. That made me giggle. The middle back right? I think that's just like how it goes. You try your hardest to figure out where you are and try to describe it, but that's funny. I've never been to Beyond Wonderland. Every year it strikes my fancy, and it has a lineup that I am always intrigued in. This year they had the Ophelia takeover. That's something I'm a big fan and follower of that record label. So I was very interested in heading out that way, but just ended up not being in the works. But I've only heard great things, and looks unique. It looks like I know it's an Insomniac festival, but it looks to me like smaller than like EDC Orlando style, or like EDC Orlando maybe like 2 years ago kind of style size. And I always like doing that type of size festival. So I don't know, just reminds me of that. That's what I think of. But more stories from there would be cool, because I bet, like I said, I want to know more about it. I've never made my way out there.
Yeah, I mean, this was in 2021, and the 2022 feedback I've been seeing all over TikTok that it wasn't very plur. So if you have any of those stories, definitely get those in. But I love Beyond Wonderland. I went in 2017 and 2018. It's definitely grown as Insomniac festivals do with like production level. I feel like I see the videos and I'm just like, whoa, like they definitely step it up every year. And I love the theme that they do with it, and the decorations and stuff. So I actually, the year that I went the first year I went, Alice in Wonderland played there, 2017. I think that year was Millennium, Alice in Wonderland. Who else did I see? Rez was there that year. Chris Lake, AC Slater. Trying to remember who. Valentino Khan. It was a good lineup.
I think when I first got into festivals, like dead ass, I thought that was like Alice in Wonderland's like event. Not even gonna deny it. Like I'm like I had like a faint memory of this in my head. Maybe but like me thinking like, because I think the first year I found out about it too, she was on the lineup and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like Beyond Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland, like it just I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, like let's just throw that together. But she does fit it really well. Like
she does fit it
name wise, but
yeah, that's funny. Do you have siblings?
I do. But we are far apart. I have a sister that is 10 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I've never heard you talk about her before. So I was like, does he even have siblings? I'm an only child.
It's I mean, it's like I was an only child. I mean, we also are. I mean, we don't go into specifics when like I talk, but like we're half brother and sister. Like we share a parent. That's also too, like for one of my parents, I'm definitely the only child. Like the other one, it's like, I mean, not that they don't get along. They get along perfectly well, but like in the eyes of like my mother, I'm like her little baby boy, you know, like but yeah, so I get a little bit of both treatment.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah,
no, that makes sense. Because I'm straight up just an only child.
my mom would be like the more overprotective one as I was growing up. My dad was just kind of like, yeah, been through it. Like
yeah. There's another one of you.
Yeah. But,
do you have any family that goes to raves or festivals?
No. And I remember talking to my sister about when I went to my first one, and she was like, oh, yeah, I went to like EDC Orlando back in the day. So like in Florida, like EDC Orlando is probably like the predominant one that like a lot of college kids go to, like from not just from the university that's in Orlando, which is probably the majority of kids, but like she went to Florida State, I went to Florida State, and I knew tons of kids that went, tons of kids from UF, tons of kids from Miami. Like it's very like all the college kids go. It's fall semester. It's not as crazy. It's not as like hard as the other semesters, in my opinion. Like fall semester is more of like the party semester, I think of. And so like like people go to that one. That's the festival most people go to because it's cheaper. It was only because it was only 2 days, most people didn't have to miss any school. Like so she said she went to that. She actually has a crazy story where she went to it. I don't know why I've never told this. I only know specifics of it, but like from what she's told me, her one EDC Orlando she ended up like partying with the United States Olympic swim team, and she ended up on stage at one point with Ryan Lochte, and like has a picture of him. If I'm correct, that's the right.
Ryan Lochte.
Yeah. But and like has pictures somewhere with like, you know, with him with the gold medal and stuff. So
that's so funny.
She had a great time that her first and only rave.
Yeah, I actually have a photo with Ryan Lochte. He was at a bar here in Austin.
No way.
This was like back in 2017. We were out at Greenlight Social on West 6th, and my friend was like, Ryan Lochte's here. And she was like, can you go with me to get a photo with him? And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, obviously I had a couple drinks in me. Like normally I would be like, no, like, let's leave him alone. But I was like, yeah, let's get a photo. That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a random story. I tell her my story, and then she's like, yeah, I did that one. It's a blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I didn't. She's like, we rode in the limo and everything. And I'm like, I could never get that treatment. Oh
my God.
There's a group of people and they're like, the tall guy. No, never happens. Never happens.
Oh my gosh. I only have a cousin that raves. And she actually lives close to Austin. She lives in San Marcos. And we've haven't gone to a festival together. We've met up at festivals though, and then like we'll see each other at shows. I think there's only one show that we've actually like gone to together. But it's always fun like running into her because she like gets it, you know, out of everyone in the family. And then I do have another cousin on my dad's side who I ran into at Lollapalooza, and he was like, so this is what the whole thing is about with like because he sees my page and stuff. I'm like, yep. And he texted me that he went to go see Lane A and like he likes this artist. He'll send me songs from time to time. I'm like, oh, this is so nice.
That's so funny. We have a friend in our rave group. And his mom was super into EDM. Like she would listen to like with us and stuff. I don't think she ever went.
So fun.
I know she wanted to go to a festival, but I don't think she ever did. And she was one of the younger moms. Like she kind of fit that like that young mom would like go party and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like yeah, I remember like going to visit them and she was like bumping to some dubstep and stuff in the car when we were visiting. But that's just funny.
My mom was growing up in like the 70s, where I think she was living in Chicago during the 70s. And I was like, were you around for like disco, house music, like that whole thing? She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, ugh.
It started where
I want to know.
Yeah, my dad could not be farther from the Chicago house roots. He doesn't even understand, like he says EDM now because that's what we call it, and he knows that, like from what I've said. But like he'll always be like techno, like it's all he says. That's all he says. Like I'm like, oh, I'm going to Los Angeles. He's like techno music, and I'm like, yeah, yep, 100%. Like,
oh my gosh, I just got into an argument on not an argument, but this guy on a TikTok. This girl, I really liked her TikTok. It was like when you start out with like Calvin Harris, David Guetta, and then you transition to like Sullivan King, Kaiwachi, like one of those types of TikToks.
Yeah.
And this guy commented like, I love techno too. Welcome to the dark side. And people were like, techno ? And I literally commented techno ? And he was like, you must be one of those generalized EDM girls. And I was like, no, I just know how techno is made and I know what techno sounds like. And I think there's a very distinct difference between these two.
Oh, no, I think you're right.
And I think he's like almost like your dad, thinking that all of it's just called techno, and then like dubstep falls under techno. And I was like, interesting reach, but okay.
That's I mean, I just let my dad doesn't listen to any type of music.
No, I know. That's just what that reminds me of.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like even like he never listened to like, I mean, guess he listened to some disco. That could be like the closest maybe.
Yeah.
Like, which isn't sort of kind of, but like that's like his closest thing I think that he ever listened. He's more of a rock and roll type of guy, and there's no way. But like that's what he thinks of music. He's like
I think my parents listened to disco, but then disco died and then house music was created out of that basically in the 80s, and my parents didn't follow that at all. Little house music history lesson, everyone.
From Chicago.
Back to the story a little bit, I guess. I love Griffin sets. Did you see he shaved his head or cut his hair?
I was unaware of that. No.
Yeah, he just shaved his head, I think. Yeah, he did. I'm picturing it in my head. He he shaved his head recently because I think he's coming out with a new album, and he was like to welcome like the next chapter or something.
A bit drastic, but okay. I'm here for
it.
The new chapter, shaved head. I've only seen DJ sets from him. I actually have not seen a regular Griffin set, and I'm not gonna lie when I tell you that I don't know if I'd like it because I've seen the DJ sets. I know it'd be probably a little more on the chiller side. And I say that in comparison to the DJ set where he occasionally throws it down more, a little more upbeat. When I saw him we went and saw him at Ubby in 2021. Yeah, the first festival back. he was right before Millennium, and I actually had no desire.
Oh yeah.
I had no desire to see him. And my buddy was like, "Nah, you'll like it. It's the DJ set. It's different. You'll like it." And actually, was probably one of my favorite sets of the weekend, from what I remember. I remember having a blast at it.
So I don't know if I've told you this. I have a spreadsheet of all the sets I've seen.
That's smart.
It hasn't been updated since 2021 because I get anxiety looking at it. However, Griffin, I saw Beyond 2017, and I believe that was a live set. So he did play 2017. I think he was right before Millennium that time too, if I'm pretty sure. And then Coachella 2017, that was a live set. That was probably like one of my favorite sets. Crush 2018 was a DJ set. EDC 2018 was a live set. And then Decadence 2018, I think, was a DJ set. And the best way I could probably describe it is how Chase describes some of the future bass artists, and he defines it as more girly and more vocal. Like more like twinkly, happy,
yes,
like yeah. So that's how I would describe the Griffin live set. And that's how Millennium sets used to be, but Millennium's like throwing down more, obviously. And that's also like how Louis the Child kind of is as well, like more that twinkly, happy.
Funny. Okay, yes. It's funny, the Louis the Child I don't associate with the like girly thing though. Like it's like I've gone like what Chase was trying to say. I actually 100% see that. I also think of that as like the last 30 minutes of Slander. Like at least from I haven't seen Slander in a while. I've heard soft. Yeah. Like I've heard they have thrown down whole sets now. Which is new because I remember like I saw them like 5 times in a row, and it was like first 30 minutes going crazy, and then next you're like staying there like, is my heart gonna start racing again in a different way?
Yeah.
100%. But Loose Child, I always feel like yes, they on the cusp of that, but like more bouncy happiness, but not in like a happiness like, I guess not in like a lovey-dovey way, but like a happy like just overall sense of life, like high on life feeling,
euphoria kind of thing. Yeah, I would agree with that. You almost have to have like a diagram, you know, where it's like super hard, soft, feelsy, happy, you know, like those diagrams. And then you place,
that's a great idea actually.
And you place the DJs kind of where they are. I feel like that's how it is. He has the same things about like house music. Like there's obviously more house artists that I like, that he's like, that's like Oregon City, he's always said is so girly because they have more like emotion in their lyrics for house music. And I'm like, I always get offended by that, but I'm like, I don't think it's girly at all. But yeah, we did see Griffin the end of his set at EDC 2021 last year, and it was actually pretty good. I don't remember. I think he did a live set. And he had actually like a couple of remixes and live edits that I wasn't really expecting that was really good. And then that actually went into Louis the Child. So that worked out.
For his live sets, does he bring any instruments up or anything?
So he'll have a guitar. He used to do piano. Like at Coachella, he had the piano and he did the whole like into Feel Good. He did a whole like piano rendition going into it, which was like, I have a video of it still, which was really cool. And then I think he does like the drum pads similar to like Millennium as well, and has like that little setup.
Drum pads are cool. I get those. The other thing was rail for your first rave, or your friend's first rave. I was the opposite, but most people are like up front, and then they slowly, as you get older, progressively move back. I started in the back. We always used to go to the back or back middle-ish. And then now I'm like, well, I want to be middle front. But I feel like it depends. I guess it also depends on the crowd. Because if it is super crowded and I am too like don't have room to move, I don't want to be up. I'd rather be able to move over anything, actually. That makes more sense now that I'm thinking about it as I'm speaking. That's what I would prefer. I'll be anywhere as long as I can move.
Yeah, that's basically how I am too. Cause even like at some house and techno events here in Austin, like I'll be on the rail because they give me space. Like at Seismic Dance event, there was a few times where I was actually on the rail, but for like,
Yeah, on the rail for house.
yeah, there's room. People give you
I know.
room.
I just laugh.
Um,
It's like
but
at the house.
back in like
Sorry.
college, we would always be close to the rail, like middle front, like pretty close to the rail, but not really on it. And then I've just like moved back for some of the bigger festivals. I'm in the back
It's always when
because
you're
I
young,
just like,
you're up front and you have no earplugs, and now you're in the back and you have earplugs.
yeah. Because also when I went to other concerts and shows, like we would always try and do rail. So like for the raves and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, we have to be on rail. Like we have to get close to the front. Whoa, whoa. And now I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. I mean, again, yes and no. Like I had, like Thunderdome was my best example, as we had buddies that were in the back and buddies that were in the front, and I was just bouncing in between them. I'd go
Yeah.
one for 30 minutes. All right, I'm gonna go back for a bit. Go back for 20 minutes, and then like hang. And we had room, ample room. So if we didn't have
Yeah.
room, I'd be like, yeah.
For Oliver Heldens at EDC last year, we were actually pretty close. And I think that's the closest I've ever been to an EDC stage. Like, we were probably just like a couple people back from the front, but it's because we had room. There was like so much room because at EDC the past year, I still don't know the right word for it, but basically what happened was like they moved the VIP section on the left hand from the right hand side to the left hand side. And it created this weird, I still don't know how to describe it. Like not a funnel, but it created this weird stop. Like people just stopped moving up. I don't know what to call
Barrier.
it.
An invisible
Like
barrier.
yeah, basically. Like they created like an invisible barrier because when we were trying to leave Slander, like BB literally had room to like fully headbang during Slander and like not even hit anyone with her hair. Like that's how much room she had. And as we started moving back in the crowd, we realized like, oh my God, there's so many people. Like, where did all these people come from? And we told them like, there's literally so much room up there. Like move up. Like it was just this weird invisible barrier for some reason that people were like,
It's weird how that
not
happens
moving.
sometimes. Like sometimes there's just like these big open, like, yeah, I've had that. I can't remember what festival it was, but I distinctly remember that occurring too. Like we're walking, all of a sudden I'm like looking, I'm like, there's a lot of room up there. And I'm thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go up there and there's people gonna be people sitting and whatnot. And then we get up there and I'm like, oh, it was EDC Las Vegas at Circuit Grounds on the right side on one of the days. Same thing. We were like getting through, and the next thing you know, just open. We were like
wide open.
like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's like
I could
people
lay
just
down
stop.
and spread out like it was weird. Yeah.
So that must have happened when the VIP section was on that side. So for some reason, the way that they design it, people just like stop and it creates this weird like stop of flow and crowd flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's weird. It's like, yeah. If enough people stop in one spot, everyone behind him's like, I guess this is where we stay.
Yeah. Literally. And we kept telling everyone like literally push through because like there's so much room up there.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I don't have anything else from this story. It's a nice, quick, cute little story.
Yeah, it was a cute story.
All right, then.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.